Hey, welcome to My Drink and My Truth, the podcast and the chat you never knew you needed. Here, we'll create a safe space for women to discuss and unpack the dynamic of all relationships, from dating to marriage and friendship and everything in between. So grab your drink and get ready to speak or discover your truth. Welcome to My Drink and My Truth. This is our very first show for season 2. So welcome. This chair is long. Like they really cheered. Welcome. So if this is your first time joining us, this is a platform where we talk about all types of relationships. And if you're coming back, welcome back. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. Special shout out to everyone who actually has been listening since we've been off. It's been almost a year since we launched My Drink and My Truth. So thank you for riding with us if you've been riding the whole time. And if you're new, welcome again. So, of course, it's the first show. You know I had to bring my New York crew. Okay, so we are going to get into it. The topic for today is friendships and boundaries. But before we get into all of that, it's been a year, so we're about to catch up with my girls because, honey, they've been working. People have been working. Things have been happening. Families are growing. Okay. To start it all off, we're going to start with my main chick, Elaine Antoinette. Hey, say hey to the people, boo-boo.
Hey, y'all. My voice hasn't changed that much in a year, has it?
No, not at all. Although I make fun of your voice all the time, people have been saying, like, when they listen to the show, they're like, I can't tell you and Elaine, like, I can't tell y'all apart. I'm like, I know you lying.
Right, because we don't
I know that girl sound like a child. Like a child.
Not a child.
A child.
It's a whole toddler.
What are we drinking?
So
let me mention that before. If you are here for the first time, here we tell our truth and everything, but girl, you need a drink. So you might want to pause right here and go get you a drink and come back. And if you are familiar with My Drink and My Truth, I'm sure you have your drink. So cheers. So E, what are we drinking?
So I'm drinking my own concoction. I call it the Aventurine. It is bourbon with mango, lemon juice, and a little bit of blue curacao.
Oh, shake it, not stir.
And pour it, shaken, not stirred, and pour it in a fancy glass, okay?
Girl, I'm always here for a bourbon and mango combination. Always.
It's so good.
All right. Well, cheers, girl. Next, we have up from the Boogie Down Bronx. Ms. Jess is in the building. Jess, say hey to the people.
Hey, y'all. What's up? It's been a minute.
Like, a long minute.
Has, yeah, like a long minute. Yes, but I'm good. I'm blessed, man. And I'm over here drinking some sangria. You know I stick with the wine.
Yes. Just the whole wine. Don't get it twisted. Jess will get lit off some wine.
Hey, I can get lit off liquor too. Excellent.
I hear that. She's versatile.
Yeah. Oh, yes, definitely. But, I'm ready to tell my truth,
Period. Yes. And last but not least, my hometown sister from the VK, Dre is in the building. Dre, say hey to the people.
Hey guys, missed you. I have an orangeade on the rocks. No liquor for me.
Okay, no liquor for her, child. Stay tuned.
Episodes, I'll be back at it.
All right, so like I mentioned, oh wait, I didn't tell you guys what I'm drinking. I am drinking a hypnotic mimosa. Okay. And if you want to know what that is, it's literally hypnotic and champagne. But if you want to see how that is made, check out Neltonic's page. It is up there. And when I tell you guys, it's like so simple to make this, but it tastes so good. So yes, that is what I am sipping on. As I mentioned earlier, the topic today is friendship and boundaries. And okay, so I wanted to have this topic first because I realized that last season we had a lot of great conversations, but a lot of them were about relationships with your significant other. And over here at My Drink and My Truth, we want to acknowledge every type of relationships, okay? And one important are the ones you have, like the one important relationship are the ones you have with your friends. And I wanted to start off this season addressing that, but this specifically, I chose boundaries about to talk about because I had multiple conversations lately about friendships, and it seems like there's this very popular narrative that once people are friends, that it's just like no boundaries. Like I should be able to tell you whatever because we are friends, or you're not really my friend if I can't tell you X, Y, and Z. Then I thought to myself, like, I must not be a good friend, because you're not about to tell me X, Y, and Z just because we're friends. Like boundaries. So I was like, am I the only one feeling like this, or are there other ones like me out here? Am I the problem?
I don't feel that way.
You said what?
I don't feel that way. I feel like it depends on the extent of the friendship. Now, if we're like best friends and we've been friends for 5+ years, I expect for you to tell me things that you feel like I'm doing wrong or anything like that. I would take that as, you're looking out for me. Now, if you're trying to tell me what to do is a different story, but giving me your opinion and letting me decide and take it into consideration as a friend, I would respect that more than you just not telling me anything. If you get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying, but I feel like some people feel like once they get the title friends, it's like, if I'm really your friend, I should tell you anything. And I don't feel like that. And even in some longer friendships, I don't feel like that. I feel like certain things are just off limits. Like, I don't care how long you and I are friends. I'm never going to give my opinion on your marriage. I'm not going to give my opinion on how to raise your kid because one, I ain't married and I ain't got no kids. Like my opinion, I'm gonna keep that to myself.
I mean, yeah, that's different. That's a whole different ball game right there.
But some people don't feel that. Some people was like, if I'm your friend, like, girl, I don't think you should be doing that. Like, who are you to like, ma'am, boundaries. Like, but I read this very interesting article and it listed different types of boundaries that you should establish in your friendships. So I'm going to read them out loud and you guys tell me if you like agree with these boundaries. So the first one is physical boundaries. And this one is about just protecting your physical space, making sure you're never uncomfortable or violated. It gave first of all, this, article is from divethrough.com. If you guys want to check it out, it's called How to Set Boundaries with Friends. It's actually pretty funny. Like whoever wrote this have a very sense of humor, hilarious. So if you want to read it, go ahead. The physical boundaries to avoid potentially hurting someone's feelings. If it's a friend who gets too close or boldly breaks your personal bubble, you've got to have a convo with them. Physical needs like sleeping, eating, and drinking water are also part of physical boundaries. The second one is emotional boundaries. Setting emotional boundaries with friends can be tough. Part of being a friend means being there for each other, right? True. But it's also okay to admit that you're not in the right headspace to be there for someone else. You're not helping anyone if you've got nothing in your tank. Emotional boundaries are also about recognizing emotional needs and validating feelings. Not only that, emotional boundaries are also about communication. If your feelings are being put down or ignored altogether, not cool. The third one is material boundaries. This one is probably a little more obvious. Material boundaries includes possessions you have, how you share them, and how you want them to be treated. They can be violated if someone loses or wrecks your stuff. If you've got friends who just expect that you'll say yes when they ask to borrow things, we feel you. It feels almost like you've being taken advantage of, which you are. Lending money is another situation that can turn super awkward if a friend doesn't respect the boundaries you've put in place, like when you expect to be paid back. We tend to easily dismiss these boundaries, especially if your personality is non-confrontational. Be firm in the material boundaries you ask of your friends. Fourth, intellectual boundaries. It's not as deep as it sounds. Intellectual boundaries means respecting your thoughts and ideas without them being dismissed or shut down. It's okay to disagree with friends or have different opinions, but if a conversation is taking a turn for the worse and could potentially hurt feelings, it's okay to shut it down. You get to choose where you draw the line. And the fifth and last boundary is time boundaries. Time boundaries can really put strain on a friendship if both sides aren't on the same page. Violating your time boundaries might include your friend constantly showing up late to your plans. Do they tend to cancel literally an hour before you're supposed to meet? Not cool. Do they get mad when you tell them you're busy? Also not cool. Your time is valuable, and it's a good idea to make sure your friends understand that too if you want to maintain a healthy friendship. So those are the 5 boundaries. So I guess my first question to you ladies is, do you set boundaries for your friends? And if so, what are they? So I will start with E.
I would say knowing these categories, then yeah, I definitely do set boundaries with my friends. They're probably more unspoken boundaries. I feel like a lot of my friends, we think alike. So like, for instance, material boundaries or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have friends that borrow my stuff. And the few friends that I do have that like may borrow my stuff, like they respect my stuff as if it was theirs. So yeah, I would say I do have boundaries, but they're just more so unspoken. Like, I don't have conversations with my friends like, this is what you're going to do and this is what you're not going to do. But yeah, I do have boundaries.
Jazz?
I had to pull up the article while you were talking. So, of course, physical boundaries, when it comes to friendships, I feel like I don't really have any. I feel like all my friends really understand and respect personal boundaries, physical boundaries when it comes to those kind of things. I would say, like, I'm a very upfront person. Sometimes I tend to not be upfront with my friends because I feel like it's going to hurt their feelings. So I come at it a different way, and then I feel like I'm being used, or I feel like I'm not being, like they don't care about me, or I'm pouring more into it than they are. And I think that's more of so because I don't speak on the way that I feel when it comes to certain things. And I really do have to work on that. Like, I was listening to this other podcast where it was talking about finding your dharma, which your dharma is your purpose in life. And I took a quiz, and it was saying that my dharma is being a nurturer. And one of the things that she said was, once you set boundaries, for the people that's in your life, that's when you'll fully step into your purpose in life. And that really stuck with me, because that's why when you told me you were talking about friendships and boundaries, I was like, oh, this is such a big deal for me, because I struggle with it every single day, especially with emotional boundaries. That's a really big thing for me. With a stranger, I'll tell you what it is, and I really don't care. But when it comes to my friends, it's so hard for me to put myself out there and be vulnerable, which I'm not sure why it's like that, but that's
I
just
was
how
just about
I
to
am.
ask you, like, why do you think you do that?
I don't know. I feel like, not being afraid of rejection, but I guess I'm just afraid to fall out with my friends, or I'm afraid to argue. I'm not really the type, I don't like to argue. I like to say what I have to say and then keep it moving. But when it comes to my friends, it's like, oh, I know, but this, but that. I'm always trying to make excuses all the time. And, it's just sometimes I go in my little turtle shell and I just don't really say anything. Then as far as material boundaries, like Elaine said, I don't really have people that borrow my stuff. Do have friends that ask me for money though. And, I've come to the point where don't ask me for money because you're not getting it. I used to be like, yeah, okay,
Boundaries.
I'll help you out, but when it got to the point where it was so repetitive because you knew I would do it, you know that I'm going to do it. So that's why you continually ask. But now it's like, I'm not going to do it anymore because you ain't paying me back for the now money's a whole different ball game. I don't play about no money. Time boundaries. It's a big deal for me. I'm the type of person is say what you're going to say it how you're going to say it, and do what you're going to do. Don't say you're going to do something and you don't do it. Don't say you're going to be somewhere on time and you're not there. I feel like it's not respectful of me and it's not respectful of yourself. That just shows you don't respect yourself and the words that you put out there. I just really do have to work on boundaries when it comes to friends because, like I said, it's just, I feel like I just shut down. Like Elaine said, it's just an unspeakable boundaries that you don't really speak about, that you kind of just know. But then sometimes, we all know each other to a certain extent, but there's always something that somebody doesn't know. So I feel like as a friend, you should be understanding and, hear me out. But I just don't want to put myself out there. I guess you could say that.
No, I get that. But
Yeah.
I want to touch on the unspoken boundaries, but I'm going to let Drea go first. And then I have a question. I'm going to have a follow-up question about that because I find that interesting. Drea, what about you? Like, do you set boundaries for your friends? And if so, what are they?
I don't set boundaries with anybody. That's something that I'm actually working on. I started to realize that in therapy that I have no boundaries for people, and that's why a lot of people kind of overstep things with me. And when I do address it, it becomes like a foreign language to people because they're not used to me kind of be like, yeah, no, I'm not okay with that. So one of my biggest things that I've been working on this year is creating boundaries and allowing my friends, my family, and everybody to know that there is a line that you should not cross at all. I had to learn that through a lot of the things that I experienced this year alone. I had to really create boundaries and allow people to respect that because when you have like a no boundary zone, people cross lines and they don't really understand how it would hurt your feelings or how you would take it. I think I had a lot of incidents alone this year with people crossing boundaries for me with a lot of personal things that I went through, and I had to kind of like play the mean girl with saying no, you're going too far, or I don't need this right now, or I don't think you're taking my emotional and physical into this right now. So no, I don't have boundaries with my friends, but I do feel like it is time to start making those things.
For me, it's a little different, right? So, like Elaine and Jess said, oh, I guess Drea too. Like, I have hard times setting boundaries, well, vocalizing boundaries. Not so much so because I'm afraid of hurting their feelings, like Jess had touched on. I think I've always been in a space where I just felt like certain things are just, I don't want to say the words because you're going to come for me, but certain things to me were just common sense. And I'm like, I'm not about to set this boundary because you should know, right? But I think as I got into certain friendships or, other connections, I realized that that's not the case. And still, with the theme of unspoken boundaries, instead of setting my boundaries vocally with people, I would just set boundaries for myself within those friendships. Like, I will not allow this to happen. Whether I communicated that with them, if this is happening, I'm removing myself. So I was setting boundaries for me in those friendships. Is that something you guys have experienced, or am I just a total loony?
No, I would say I've experienced that for myself. I guess, yeah, to agree with you guys. As far as like the unspoken boundaries, I think they're just more so unspoken on my end because the like-mindedness of it all.
Exactly.
There you go, Dragons.
It's a common sense.
Hello?
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't like, you wouldn't like it if I did it to you. So don't do it to me.
Don't do it to me.
Right. And I think like with my closest friends, I don't have those issues because again, like with you, Mahalia, and with you, Jess, like I don't have those issues. Like we don't have issues in our friendships where it's like we can't talk about something or we don't respect those boundaries, And I guess for me, I kind of distance myself. And I think that's where some of my other friends kind of see it as I'm being like standoffish or I don't care about them, because I'm just like, okay, I guess once they cross the boundary, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to kind of just back up.
Right.
You came
right.
too close, so let me move a little bit back so the boundary can move a little bit back.
Right. And I, I had an issue like this last year with one of my friends. Well, she's not really my friend anymore. But we were friends for like 6 years, but every single time we talked, it was about an issue she was having. She was putting all of her problems on me. And of course, first I'm her friend, I'm listening, but then I realized, that energy transfers, even if it is through the phone. So I just felt myself always feeling down after we talked, and I'm just like, why do I feel this way? So every single time she would talk to me, it's like, hey, I give you advice. You don't listen. Then you come back to me with the same issue because you didn't listen to what I told you the first time. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I'm trying to help you, and don't come to me if you don't want my help. So, she kept coming to me with the same issue, same issue. So one day I was having like a breakdown, and I was like, listen, I don't want to hear your problems right now. And she was like, you always listen to my problems. What's wrong with you? Yada, yada, and we got into it. And and it made me think like, hey, if I'm having an issue and I need to call my homegirl, my friend, and talk to her about it, I'm going to see if she's good mentally first before I sit and I put all my problems on her. Because what if she's dealing with her own issues, and then here I come along, not giving a damn about what she's going through, and just putting all my energy and all my negative all my negative energy and all my problems on her, and she's dealing with her own stuff. And then
Jess, you know what that's called? That's called consideration. And just like common sense, it's really not that common.
Yes, I know.
Oh my God. Mommy,
Yes.
say that again. Because I was just waiting for Jess to finish. Because I try to tell you, I tell you this all the time. Common sense is not that common. And some people are so familiar with doing certain things that if you do not acknowledge that they are crossing a line, they're going to keep doing it. And that's what makes you frustrated because you don't address it. And that was the problem that I was having. It was never the problem that I never created boundaries. It was the fact that when they crossed the boundary, I was just very quiet about it. You can't be quiet. And that's what creates confrontation with friends and family and everything. If you do not let this person know that they have crossed the boundary or made you feel away, how can they correct it? They're always going to do the same thing over again. I think that boundaries are set to have conversations. And if you do it again after I had that conversation with you, that means that you just don't care about what I just said to you. So now I have to reconsider our relationship because I just came to you as a friend and told you that I don't like that you do this.
Yeah.
I think that it's
Exactly.
always room for communication in anything with boundaries because some people, your boundaries and someone else's boundaries is not the same. Some
And that's
people may,
okay.
right, that and that part is okay. But once you
Right.
express that we have these differences and you continue to do it, that means that you just don't care about our friendship. So it's time for me to remove myself. I think that you like Jess with your friend. I think you were supposed to have a conversation with her long before you exploded in
Right.
regards to, hey, sometimes when you call me, it's too much. And I myself had to when I was going through like my little phases of like an emotional breakdown, I had to check myself and be like, I can't keep calling my friends right now because when I do speak to them, it is an emotional strain on them because they care about me. So at this moment, until I figure it out, I have to shut myself out. Not because you don't want to go to them, but because you do have to understand in friendships, the things that you go through, they feel.
Right. Yeah, and I think that was one of the things, like I was saying, one of the things that I do struggle with is letting my friends know my boundaries or how I feel about things because I don't want to cause any bad blood between us. It's hard for me to communicate that. So I feel like at that point in time when I blew up on her because I was going through so many things, of course I felt bad for the blow up because of course I could have went about it a different way. But, the fact that she was just like, she still didn't really care. I just kind of knew right then and there. I just kind of got to step back from this friendship and see where it goes. And it hasn't went anywhere since then. So I know that I made the right decision to fall back and worry about me and get myself together. And, not saying it was the best decision I ever made. I do think about her sometimes, but it was probably for the best. And even though you've been friends with someone for 7, 8 years, some people are still only in your life for a season. no matter how long that season is. It could be 10, it could be 10 to 15 years, but that was still for a season. And it's kind of hard to let go of that, but you have to realize it was for a reason, and it's time to just move on and go your separate ways.
That's a good point. And I completely agree with that, because some friendships you just outgrow, and some people you just outgrow, some relationships you just outgrow. And I think I've always known that. So okay, I have this thing where, and all my friends know this about me, I categorize my friends. And I feel like a lot of time the letdown in a lot of friendships is when we try to fit that one friendship in every aspect of our lives, and baby, it don't fit. It does not fit. So for one, I know some people disagree with that. I've had many conversations when people was like, well, it's not a genuine friendship if they can't fit in every aspect of your life. No, I don't believe that. I think it is completely healthy to categorize your friends. How do you guys feel about that? Do you categorize your friends? Do you even agree with that? I don't know if that's the proper term for it, but how do you guys feel about that?
No, I most definitely categorize you guys. It's certain things
Not
that I
you
know.
guys.
Well, you're my friend, so um, as in Mahali, that statement was for you as far as our friendship go. Um, yeah, Elaine, you just got put in a category too. It's okay, but
I'm weak.
um, yeah, I definitely categorize my friends. I know that it's certain things in certain conversations that I can have with each friend. I know that it's a friend that's not mature enough to have a certain conversation with, so I can't go to that friend
That
and have
part.
that conversation. I know that it's a certain friend that I want to turn up with, so that's the friend that if I just want to go out and have a good time, that's the friend I'm gonna pull. There's a friend where I just want to be a homebody and sit and relax after getting off work, drink wine and just be mellow. It's a friend for that. And it's a friend where I want to have the intellectual side and have my mind fed. I have a friend for that too. I think sometimes when you try to mix all of them in the same pot, that's when things go wrong. So I try not to mix my friends as well, because that's when people be like, oh, well, she act like she's better. No, you're just not mature enough to be on her level to understand why me and her have a connection. And I think that's where the jealousy of friendships come in, that because they have a different their bond is different from you and her bond, because y'all bonded on something that y'all have in common. It's not necessarily the thing that you have in common with her. Y'all have your own special relationship, and the next person has their own special relationship. So this is where things kind of like get mixed up. Mahali, I had a question for you. I think you said something like, I kind of create boundaries for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel like because you create the boundaries for yourself that you're never getting the full respect that you need in a friendship? I think in a friendship, you should be able to tell someone that this bothers you. And as a friend, you should take that into consideration. I don't believe that you should have to create a boundary for yourself so that you can maintain a friendship, because relationships go both ways. If it is something that you don't like, I think that it's up to your friend to kind of take that into consideration because you're important to them.
I hear that. I receive that. But I think for me, it goes hands in hand with like my expectations of common sense. I feel like if I'm in a situation where I feel like, well, I wouldn't have done that to you, and here you are doing it to me, I'm just going to fall back. I don't, maybe again, that is a work that I have to do in how I communicate and some kind of communication maturity that I need to reach. But sometimes I do struggle with trying to communicate something that I feel that I should not have to communicate. And that is something I have to work on. I have to understand that everyone does not think like me. And sometimes people do things not like purposefully, you know what I mean? So I think I just set those boundaries for myself, like, hey, this feeling, you don't like it, you don't want it. If it happens, step back. And I think it's also a way that I kind of go into friendships not expecting, I don't want to say not expecting. I think it's a way where it's like expectations are not.
I would say I think what you're trying to say is you're trying to go into a friendship not expecting you out of them.
Right.
Because and I think that's a lot of people, like, you feel like you're, great person, and your morals and the things that you would do. You can't expect them from other people, because then that's when, you get let down,
That's the
things
one.
start to take a different turn, and you're like, why is this happening? But that's because you have such an the expectations you have for yourself, you're trying to have them for someone else.
That's the
And
one.
it just doesn't work like that. And I think that's why a lot of friendships fail, because you're expecting something that that you're not going to get, but you're still expecting it anyways.
That's the perfect wording for it. And as I've gotten older, I think I'm even like, because at first people used to make me feel guilty that I used to categorize my friends. And I used to always think like, damn, am I not a good friend that I do this? But as I've gotten older, like I stand on that. I stand beside it, on top of it, under it. Like I honestly believe in that. And that is a way to protect myself and just level out expectations. Like there is a certain type of friendship category that I have that I don't expect much from you. Okay, there's no letdown here because I wasn't expecting you to even step up to the plate in this way. So that's why I honestly like believe in that.
I agree. I feel like I also categorize my friends, but I don't think I have more so like clear cut categories like, okay, this friend goes in this box and this one goes in this box. But I always say, like, to people, like, in order to understand me completely, there's probably about one or two people that you can go to and talk to about me that you'll get the full story. But most people can only tell you pieces, is because those are like the certain aspects that I allowed them to see in my life. And I never thought of it as me being a bad friend, because I'm still showing up for them in the ways that they need me to. But because I know that they're incapable of showing up in the ways that I would need them to be a good, well-rounded friend, for me, like you said, I just don't have that expectation. Like, it's certain people that I would never go to for advice because I know it wouldn't be beneficial to me. And not to say that they're bad people or their lives are not together. It's just the path that they're on and the path that I'm on. At the end, we both know that it doesn't meet up, So again, I think it goes back to just having friends for a season. But I do think that you are blessed to come across one or two people who you can allow into every aspect of your life. And I think that is a real blessing. But I do think that categories, and maybe maybe we shouldn't put the word category on it. But again, it's just like setting boundaries. Like certain friends, certain parts of my personal life, I wouldn't tell certain friends. And it's not because I don't value them as a friend, but you don't serve me in that way.
Right.
And I don't think
to me,
that's
that's a category. Like to me, I feel like I categorize that. Like I have a mental checklist. Like this is, you are going to be my fun friend. You are here for fun time. I'm not calling you for deep conversations. I'm not calling you about finances. I'm not calling you about big hopes and dreams. This here is my girlfriend. I know that she's going to hold me accountable for my goals, for the things that I say I want to achieve. Like I categorize my friends with categories. And you said something that was very like, you said I show up the way they need me to. And I think another reason why I categorize my friend, I personally feel like I show up for all my friends in every category in the same way. However they need me at that moment, I will be that for them. I think that is part of being a good friend in my definition. However, I think when I categorize my friends, it's because I'm trying to it's a mental reminder that, hey, don't expect this back. And maybe it's not healthy, maybe it is, whatever the situation, but it is the way that I move in friendships.
I would say, honestly, I don't have enough friends to put them in categories.
Girl, it don't matter if you got two, you better categorize.
It's the wine.
Don't listen to me, because as I'm saying this out loud, it sounds unhealthy.
Yeah, I don't have enough friends to put into categories. I might have 4 close friends that I can honestly literally talk to about anything, do anything with. They hold me accountable. We hold each other accountable. We might argue. We might do all these things. And you guys are saying friends, friends, friends too much. Friends, that word is used so loosely. I consider other people my acquaintance. You're not my friend. My friend is a whole different ball game. When you're my friend, it's different. The emotions are different. If I feel like I can only turn up with you, you're not my friend. You an acquaintance that I'm gonna turn up with. You're not really my friend. Like, my friend is people that know my family, people that know about me, people that know things that are going on in my life. If I
But Jess,
don't consider
those lanes could intertwine sometimes. They
they
can.
can, but not really. Like, when you think
Hmm.
about it, like you said, like, you have your friend, your goal friend. You have the friend that's good, hold you accountable. Then you have your turn up friend. I wouldn't even say friend, turn up acquaintance, because I'm not considering anybody that I can just go out with and have nothing else in common with as a friend. That's more of an acquaintance to me. And I don't know if it's the way I grew up, because my dad always used to tell me majority of people in your life are going to be an acquaintance, and
Hmm.
they're not going to have the same morals that you do. So you need to go into this life. When you go into college and you start to be on your own, you need to realize these people are not your friends. These people are only going to be in your life for a little season. Your real friends, you're going to know who your real friends are. And they're going to be your real friends, and they're going to stay your real friends forever and ever. But an acquaintance, I just feel like the word, I'm not saying y'all, but people use the word friends so different. And it's just me personally, like I said, I got like 4 friends, and that's it. Anybody else? Yeah, I know you. You my acquaintance. Hey, what's up? I'm married. I got a daughter. You know where I'm from. That's about it. You don't know anything else about my life, though. So I would
Hmm.
never consider you a friend. You might hit me up and be like, "Hey, you trying to go out?" Shoot, yeah, we could go out, but I still wouldn't consider you like, a friend.
I get that. But I think again, friend is probably such a word that you could define in so many ways, and it's probably like personal definition over like trumps all. I just feel like when I say like turn up friend, let's talk about that specific friends, turn up friend. I feel like sometimes going back to like outgrowing certain relationships, like let's say you have a friend that you've known since you guys, your childhood friend, right? You guys grew up together. I personally feel like automatically there's just a level of love and respect there because you've known each other for so long. But sometimes you outgrow the friendship. You outgrow the wherever you guys met or the block, wherever that friendship started. You outgrow that space, but the love is still there. To me, that is still a friend. But you're still just my home friend. You're just my fun friend. Like we have fun. But I've grown into such a different space. There's like the new spaces that I'm discovering in life. I don't feel like I could discuss those situations with you, but that does not take away from the bound that we have. Does that make sense? Like to me, you're still a friend. It's just that you don't fit into certain parts of my life now.
Right. I mean, that definitely makes a lot of sense. But me personally, like, if I outgrew you, and yeah, I've known you for a long time and stuff, there is that respect. But if I outgrew you as a friend, we're not friends no more. I just know you. I grew up with you, but we're not friends anymore.
I get that.
And I think that's just how I feel about that.
It's something that you and Elaine both said. Where I said, you wouldn't do this to a friend, so this is where you kind of like step back. My thing is, I once I put the friend title on you, I expect the same loyalty. I expect the same communication. I expect the same respect. I don't think you should go into a friendship thinking that you don't deserve or you shouldn't get the same thing that you're putting out. Because if you do that, then you are not. If you do that, then that person is not your friend. I think that you should hold your friends accountable for giving you the best relationship possible because that's what you're offering. That's why they have the friend title, and that's where the boundaries come into play. Where you can, if you are my friend, and there are boundaries that I'm putting up because you love and you care about me. You respect my physical, emotional, material, intellectual, and my time. When I bring these things up to you, it should never be a problem because you understand. And it shouldn't be if common sense is that common. It should just be okay. I love and respect this person. This is what it is. I think that if any one of these things come into play where they are being disrespected, which is why there's a conversation that needs to be had when these lines get crossed, then you need to reconsider that friendship. I don't necessarily think you should ever have to put boundaries on how you act or how you are to hold on to a friendship. Because as your friend, I would never want you to feel uncomfortable with anything that I do. And I'll give you an example. I think I called you Mahalia, and I said that I did something to one of our mutual friends, and I didn't mean to do it that way. And you cut so far into my butt. I was just like, I didn't mean to. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I personally felt like I overstepped the boundary with her, and she didn't have to tell me that I overstepped the boundary, but I had to call you and ask you, like, how do I address this to her and apologize to her at the same time. She didn't have to tell me I overstepped the boundary. I felt I overstepped the boundary, and I called her. She didn't have to put a boundary up or pull herself back. As a friend, I realized that I made my friend feel away, and it was my job to correct it. It shouldn't be your job or Elaine's job to correct your friend's behavior. That's my job.
Wait, I want to clarify something you said about setting boundaries and being uncomfortable. That's for me, that's not what I meant by saying I set boundaries for myself. I meant in a way like, if I feel like I am uncomfortable, I no longer want to be here. That doesn't mean I'm going to set boundaries to be uncomfortable to hang on to this friendship. It means if I feel uncomfortable, F this friendship. That's what I meant by setting boundaries for myself. Like, I'm not going to be uncomfortable to hold on to this. So if I feel like you're not using your common sense for us to have a healthy friendship, I am removing myself.
But how would anybody know that if there's never a conversation that's had? If you just,
I said my communication is still a work in progress.
right. So that's my point with you and Elaine. When I made the statement, again, you wouldn't know if someone has this level of respect for you if it's never spoken about. You're just automatically removing yourself from the situation, leaving someone guessing if they cross the boundary with you or not. And
I don't fully believe that, though. I don't fully believe that as an adult, functioning adult, that if I am showing up for you in a certain way and you're not showing up for me in that way, that you cannot compute that you are not being a good friend. Because if you cannot compute that, we shouldn't even be friends anyway.
I feel as if people give up too fast. If you want this person to be your friend and vice versa, and something happens to where you might feel a little bit uncomfortable or they might feel a little bit uncomfortable or things, then you start to build that wall in between y'all instead of being an adult and communicating about it. Now, I've had this happen plenty of times, and I think this even stems to relationships. Like, people give up too fast. Like, everyone is a work in progress. Everyone has their issues. But, like, are your issues so bad to the point where I think that you're just not friend material? Or are your issues so bad to the point where it's just like, nah, you're not a good person? Like, people give up too fast. And I mean, I'm one of those people, I'm not even going to lie and say that that hasn't been me in the past. But as growing and learning and meeting new people, and I just go off the energy. And even if we do have a miscommunication or we don't agree on something, that energy is still there. The vibe is still there. So I'm going to work on it, or I'm going to make that decision and be like, you know what, this is not the best for me, but I'm going to communicate that, because everyone deserves an answer.
I hear you, sis. I hear you. And I understand you. But at the same time, I'm a very big and firm believer in people will do what they want to do. And for me, certain things are like, if I am supporting you in whatever you are doing, and here I am asking you for support and you don't show up for me, I honestly believe you're not showing up for me because you don't want to. That is not something I'm going to communicate. I'm going to look and be like, all right, copy, fall back. Now you have categorized to my fun friend. We are here only for fun. I'm not expecting you to support me the way I've showed up for you. And we will move on, and I will move on. I'm not about to explain to you that you're not showing up for me the way I've been showing up for you.
But see,
because you know that
grows up.
We were both there.
Right. And I think this even stems back to everyone is raised differently. everyone is raised to, there's some people that are raised to not show emotion worth nothing when it comes to friendships, relationships, anything. So then that's when it comes into play where us as adults, we have to not forget everything that our parents taught us, but try to become our own person instead of the person that our parents tried to mold us to be. And I think that's where everything comes into play, because a lot of people say, oh, well, I was raised that way, or maybe that's how I was raised. And it's like, okay, but do you want to change that? Because obviously now you have, recognized the issue, but do you want to step forward and step outside of that issue and become your own self and your own person?
I was about to say, I hear that too. I receive that too. But sometimes, and especially in friendships that I've been in, I feel like a lot of time people feel like I'm very quiet, I'm very laid back, right? And one thing about me, I will show up for you the best way that I can. And a lot of times I feel like because people know that about me, because people feel like I'm so responsible, they don't feel like they need to show up in those ways for me. And to me, that's not something I feel like I have to explain to someone. Like, if I am showing up for you, regardless of how responsible you think I am, regardless of how strong you think I am, you should still show up for me in this way. And if you are doing it for your other friends, you're choosing not to do this for me. Whatever reasoning you gave yourself, it's irrelevant. Whether it's how you were raised or your idea of how you think I am, it's irrelevant, because I've showed up for you, so you show up for me. That's how friendship is supposed to work.
I see that, but I think as well, it's hard to be a friend to somebody when you don't know how to be a friend to them. And in my personal experiences, a lot of the friends that I've lost or I've just placed in the category of, okay, like we used to be really cool, but now like we need to step back a little bit, social distance friends. I found that it wasn't like that they were a bad person, that they were incapable of showing up for their other friends. Like, yeah, I would see it, but they were just not able to give me the level of support that I needed, that I required in the friendship. And it's hard because I had to think of it as, okay, in this particular friendship, when this person has a problem, when they have an issue, who is the first person that they go to? Me. They don't go to their other friends. Like, I am their problem solver. And Mahalia, we've had this conversation where I say we're like dumps, in a sense, where we have friends around us that just leave their problems with us. And we just like, okay, fine. Like, we'll not take on your problems, but we're their problem solvers. And I think also because we think very alike, it's hard to be a friend to someone who's always a problem solver. How can I expect someone to solve my problems when they can't even solve their own? And it's not that like this is the basis of a friendship. It's not like this is the level of friendship where it's just like, oh, okay, like I'm going to downgrade you to an associate. Like Jess was saying, like the term friend is used I think it is a term that is used very lightly. Like it takes a lot. I always say that people say that I'm their friend before I say that they're my friends. And that might sound really messed up, and it is what it is at the end of the day, but it takes a lot to be my friend. And I'm not saying that I'm like such this high maintenance person, but it takes a lot for me to consider you as, okay, this is someone that I would like to share certain intimate parts of my life with. And I think once we get to that stage, it's like, okay, now you're my friend. Like now I can open up to you. And to what Drea was saying, like, if we don't tell them, you know, the issues that we have within our friendships, how would they know, right? And that's a very good point. But I feel for me personally, I'm going through this issue right now with a friend that they are very emotional when it comes to our friendship. And I'm a very emotional person as well, but they take things personal, whereas I don't take things as personal. So to them, me not talking to them or me not reaching out to them, they don't see it as, okay, maybe she's going through her own personal things. They just see it as she doesn't want to talk to me. And it's hurtful to them. And I acknowledge that as being part of the friendship. Like, okay, this is something that in order for me to show up for this friend, this is something that I may have to consider to change depending on how much I value the friendship. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like I need them to understand as well. And like Drea, to your point, not everybody understands when they hurt their friend. Like for me, I didn't understand that she was hurt by it. Like I'm sure she was annoyed, but I didn't understand that she was hurt by me not calling her, me not answering the phone, me not texting her. Because to me, it's like, okay, I do this to all my friends and none of them have ever had an issue with it except for you. So sometimes it's hard to discern whether or not you hurt someone. Like in your case, you obviously, knew this person for a very long time to know that, okay, I've crossed that boundary. But some people don't get that.
But I think my definition was a little different as to how I want my friend to show up. Like, I don't expect my friend to try to help me solve any issues. I find it hard to bring problems to people anyway. My friends, family, or anyone, it's just how I am. So I don't bring issues to people. But I think there's a level of acknowledgement that is support. I think when you claim to care for someone, claim to be friends with someone, a simple acknowledgement can translate as support, at least for me. I, again, with categorizing my friends, I know they would probably not show up the way I show up for them, but there is a level of acknowledgement that is a reflection of how important our friendship or relationship is to you. And I think that's where my issue come in, where it's like, okay, if I'm not even getting that acknowledgement where you feel like it's okay for you to come to me for this and that and the other, but you can't even acknowledge a good moment I'm having, a bad moment I'm having, a sad moment, or that I'm even going through something, I'm falling back. I'm not to me, there's no communication to have.
I get that. And maybe it's just me, like, specifically knowing you the way I do, like the level of our friendship. You're not an emotional person where it's like someone that is just getting to know you, or if you've only been friends with them for like a year or so, they're not going to know like the emotional, I guess, roller coaster or ups and downs that you may have. But it, like someone like Drea and I, who has known you for quite some time, like, yeah, we can acknowledge the fact that, like, hey, Holly is not in a great mood today, or she's sad, or she's mad, or she's whatever. But you don't show your emotions, so far it's hard for someone else to acknowledge that as a friend.
I'm not talking to someone not Mahalia has known for a year is not Mahalia's friend. Let's start there.
It's an acquaintance, like I've been trying to say.
We have a year. We are not friends. Okay,
there we go.
How long it took for us to be friends?
I mean, I don't know, man.
Don't
sometimes you
have
need
that
people.
Flashback from high school, girl, because I still feel
Listen,
not the
you're my friend a long time before I'm your friend.
Oh man. Anyways, that goes back to what I was saying about being an acquaintance. People use the word friend so much. Like, to me personally, a friendship, to me, a real friend is someone that accepts you for who you are, someone that sticks around in the good times and the bad, celebrates life with you. They will make time to see you, and they also will tell you the truth, even if you don't like it. Just being real with you as a friend because they care about you. They encourage you to achieve your goals, and they also help you feel comfortable in your own skin and feel comfortable with the person that you are. That's who I would consider a friend. Anyone else, if I don't feel those ways about you, you're just an acquaintance to me.
And it goes back to the whole.
I agree with that. In this episode, I am learning that I don't have as many friends as I thought that I had, and I already didn't have that many. I just have a whole bunch of acquaintances.
It goes back to the creative boundary things. For a very long time, Mahalia has had communication issues. Like, and again, but it's true. You have to learn Mahalia's triggers to have like a friendship with her. But I am also the one to tell her, like, if I make you feel away, you have to explain that to me, because it's not my intention. And as your friend, my first thing to do is apologize. It's the first thing to do is fix it, because you may not know. Like, I come from a family that's very cutthroat that doesn't have a filter. You may not come from a family that's cutthroat and doesn't have a filter. So the way I handle things may be a little bit extreme for you, but it's not meant to hurt your feelings. So let me know that I've crossed a boundary for you so that I know I should never do that again. And as your friend, I'm going to take that into consideration. But if I do something to you and you just be like, I don't like she did that, and just fall back, and now I'm reaching out to you and you're not giving me that, you're not reciprocating our relationship because I did something wrong, how would I know that I hurt you if you didn't explain it to me?
That's
You're
very
not
true,
giving me
Drea.
Wait, hold on.
I want to be a good friend.
Can I answer
You
back to
take
that?
away from me.
No, let me just say this really quick. Really quick. That's very true, Drea. But at the same time, like for me, where I get caught up is sometimes I could be in my feelings, and sometimes something that somebody says to me can just rub me the wrong way. And it could be absolutely nothing to do with the words that they said, but how they said it. So I don't know how to translate that as like, hey, you've crossed the boundary, because technically it's not a boundary, but at the same time, you got me effed up.
But you just said it though. It's not what you said, it's how you said it.
How you say it, right?
You understand? You have expressed that. Do not sugarcoat. As a friend, don't sugarcoat nothing.
Again, just be real.
When I called Mahalia and I expressed what I did, she said, "Well, who gave you the fucking right to do that?" I said, "What?" And and that's exactly what she said to me over the phone. It was no hold back. It was no nothing.
Right.
It was simply, you did this. You was wrong, and that's it. And I was like, I already felt like I was wrong. Well, let me reassure you that you're wrong. As a friend, it does not matter.
Let me build up on that, Drea. Just to clarify for the people, Mahaya don't have a problem with addressing respect boundaries. If there's anything, Mahaya is quiet, Mahaya is shy, but Mahaya will always voice her opinion about disrespect, and that's true. Period.
That's okay, Thug Life. That is very true.
My definition of stepping back is not about respect. My definition of stepping back is how you show up for someone. If you know Mahalia, one thing about Mahalia, she is all about support. I don't care what you're going through. Family, your man, your kids, financial. I am going to show up for you like I want you to show up for me. I fall back because I usually don't get that back in return. That's where my fallback come from. And to me, that's not something I feel like I have to explain. Like, hey, I feel like you didn't really show up for me like I showed up for you when you was going through X, Y, and Z. Why? Because you were there. You were going through it. And who was next to you? Me. Why do I have to explain to you now that you should show up for me? You should support me. I don't feel like having that conversation with an adult that is smart, because if you're dumb, we're not friends. So I know you're smart. So what are we talking about right now?
Just I keep. Go ahead, Dre.
I think that, and Mahalia, this is for you. I'm not ever telling you to accept someone that's not supporting you the way that you support them. I'm a strong believer in, if you're not getting what you were giving, then you need to remove yourself from that relationship.
You can't keep pouring from an empty glass.
What kind of relationship it is. You cannot do that. That's
why they
categorize over there at the I'ma see you when I see your friend.
No,
that's an acquaintance.
That's not a friend. You have to. There's a difference between a friend, and again, a friend is going to give you what you give to them. And when they notice that they're not giving you the same energy, they're going to acknowledge it and they're going to try to work on it, because the friendship is important to them. The person that you see this and they're not trying to work, that's not your friend. And I literally just had this conversation.
It's the just clap for me.
Yeah, like I just had this conversation with a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours. She's still worried about a childhood friend. And I told her, how many times does she have to show you that y'all was friends for kids? As an adult, you have to move past this specific person, because she's never going to give you the energy that you are giving her. So stop pouring into it, because it's not happening. You're taking away from yourself. I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is, if me and you was having a conversation and I've said something to overstep these 5 boundaries that you spoke about, instead of you falling back from explaining to me that I've overstepped those boundaries.
Exactly. Just be real with me. How can you expect for me to understand you if you can't be real with me? What if I'm saying something and I'm not even thinking nothing of it? I'm just talking, but it makes you feel some type of way. How would I know that if you don't tell me? There's no way to know. And I think that I've struggled a lot with that, because Elaine can attest to this. I'm a very emotional person. I act hard. I mean, I am hard. Don't get it twisted now. Don't fuck with me. But I'm a very emotional person. I care a lot. And when I put all my energy into something and all my emotion and my feelings, I tend to put my heart on my sleeve, and it tends to get me hurt a lot of times. And what I've had to realize is I just have to let people know, hey, you made me feel this type of way. Hey, you made me feel this way. And if they come back and they be like, oh, well, this and this and that, yada, 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 then they're not your friend, because a real friend is going to be like, okay, well, that definitely wasn't my intention. Like going back to what Drea said, that wasn't my intention to do that. But now that you're telling me, I can assess the situation and we can go from there and communicate with each other. But if you're just going to still feel some type of way, then there's nothing that we can really talk about.
I have a question for Justin and Elaine, though. So setting boundaries in friendships, I'll go with Jess first. Do you feel like your boundaries within friendships change from single Jess to married Jess?
Not really, because I feel like friendship is a friendship, and no matter what I got going on in my personal life, the boundaries should stay the same. I mean, as far as I always down to take advice, but I feel like the boundaries should always be the same. They shouldn't change, and if they do change, then it should be something that's spoken of, instead of you thinking that they're just gonna automatically assume that the boundaries have changed. But I mean, I have dealt with this like issues, like some of my friends, they be wanting to go out till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't do that. One, I'm married. Two, I have a 3-year-old daughter that I have to get up when I have to take care of. And I just can't do those kind of things. And, I fell off with one of my friends because she was like, never want to go out. How can you just keep going out every night and you got a child? I mean, no disrespect to you, like nothing like that. But at the end of the day, you need to respect the fact that I'm married and that I have a child at home that I would rather be with than be out till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't nothing good come out of that.
Jess,
being
I'm
out
sorry,
that late.
but you meant that with all due disrespect. Like,
oh yeah, of
you
course
did.
we're all disrespect, because, like you said, back to what Mahalia said, we're all adults. If you can't understand that part, then I mean, there's really honestly nothing for us to talk about.
Period.
Because there's nothing. And I'm the type of person, I'm gonna say what I have to say, and I'm gonna say it the way I want to say it, and how you take it is how you take it. But if the disrespect continues, then it's just gonna be, just know that me and you, we're done. You're not even an acquaintance to me anymore. Just don't talk to me. That's
I
just
just
how it
feel
goes.
like I just feel like people do what you allow. And again, if I care about you, I'm always going to check how I make you feel. But again, little things like certain conversations, or I came late 3 times, I'm going to simply tell you, girl, you got one more time to come late when I invite you somewhere, and I'm going to leave you standing here. Certain things like that you have to address, so they can be like, oh, I didn't mean it. No, but you keep doing it.
Girl, that time boundary, I don't know if it's because I'm getting old, but the older I get, that time boundary, baby, like, don't waste my time. Like, just don't.
For real. Because, and I hate when people be like, girl, I'm going to be late. You're grown. Fix it. You don't need to be being late. You know what time you need to be here. Don't nobody have time for that.
Who did it, Jess?
Don't have to be late for nothing. Jess had. She's not playing with you. She's not playing with you.
Whoever did it, y'all better be on time. Jess is not playing.
Yes, and
I'm very that just stems back to me saying, when you say you're gonna do something, do it. If you say you're gonna be here at a certain time, be here, because I'm here and I have a whole damn child and I'm here.
Right.
Okay. Right. So there ain't no excuse. And if you keep on saying that you're gonna be late, that means you're addressing the issue that you have with being late, and you're not trying to do anything to fix that issue.
That part.
I have, and so because I was telling Holly this the other day, like I have a friend, we've been friends for, well, quote unquote friends for about, I want to say since I was 14, so about 16 years, right? And I realized more and more that she annoys the crap out of me. Oh, and it's nothing that she does specifically, but it's just, I know it's terrible, but it's just it's more so of her being like this. And I don't want to make it sound like just her
this is not.
being is
the words that you are using are.
I know, but let me
Wait a minute.
I wouldn't want to be your friend.
Yo, that's some savage shit, yo.
Like,
no, just stop. Wait, let me
I was waiting
explain.
for it to get better. I'm like, where is this going?
Is it
No,
her?
let me
You?
explain. Let me explain when I say her being, right? I'm not talking about like her physical, like her just being in my presence annoys me. Like I'm not talking about
that's
that.
what it sounds like. What are you?
No, I'm talking about her state of being in her mind, like her mental, the way she thinks, the way she navigates through life with a certain perspective. That annoys me because for years I've been like pumping into this girl like you need to self-love, you need to self-care, you need to regard yourself higher than what you allow other people to think of you, you know? And for years she's just been taking shit, and that bothers me. So when I say it's her being, it's not like, okay, she comes over and it's just like, oh my God, why is she here? It's not that. It's her mental being, like the state of which she's in.
I just had another aha moment because I feel like I never really explained well when I set boundaries for myself, and Elaine just did this. Elaine had, maybe not in those words that she just used just now, but she has expressed her frustration with this particular friend. And I told her that one thing that I've learned is I'm the type of friend who, I used to be the friend who would get very frustrated with my friends if I felt like they were not valuing themselves the way I valued them. But that's not my job. My job is to value you the way I feel like you should be valued. Now, what you choose to accept from other people is not my problem. As soon as I realized that I put a lot less stress on myself. I will be here to support you. I will be here to love you, but I'm not going to stress myself about the choices that you have decided to make. And I think that's what I meant when I said I will set boundaries for myself. Like, I'm not about to stress myself because you're choosing to do this. And that's what I was explaining to Elaine. You cannot, in a sense, judge this person because of the decision that she's making. That's not your job as a friend. Your job is to support her. Now, if you feel like supporting her emotionally and being there for her is getting tiresome for you, like Jess was saying, like, don't keep coming to me with these problems and I'm offering these solutions and you're not using them and you keep coming back, then that's when you need to make a decision for Elaine's own health. But you cannot get frustrated with her for making decisions that she probably feel are best for herself.
But see, in that situation, and I don't want to like delve too much and like put their personal business out here, but in that situation, the best way for me to show up in that friendship is to
show up.
No. It's to speak life into her because of the type of the person that she is. Like, that's the way that I know that I need to show up for her in that friendship. And Elaine, it's like when I'm doing that, you're not being receptive to it, and you keep putting yourself.
That is not your issue.
That's not your issue.
You can't speak life into someone that's not going to accept
and
it.
You said something. You was like, you said something in regards to you and Mahalia being people's dumpster. Let me explain something to you. You can't carry nobody's burden at all. You can listen to anybody's problem. But once you hang up the phone, you leave that conversation right there.
Period.
After you give advice that you give them, it's up to them to take whatever you're going to take. And
boundaries for thyself.
You leave
Get into it.
You leave it there. You're trying to raise this person. You can't raise her. You can't make her do what you're telling her to do. She has to have her, as Mahalia said, an aha moment to say, I'm tired. Enough is enough. Now, if this is taking a toll on you so much, if you want to just listen, be like, I didn't already told you. I don't know what else to tell you. Maybe you need to stop being so supportive so she can see what you're talking about. Sometimes the best way to make a friend understand is to stop doing what you usually do.
I totally agree.
I get that. And I think of recent times, I have stopped being so supportive. Like, I have stopped speaking up to her about certain things because it's just like, girl, no matter what I tell you, no matter what advice, you call me crying, what should I do? And I give you the advice and you don't take it and you just keep running back. Like that, you happy there. You like it there.
That's what you do. You're like, you know what?
And then let her continue to like it there, but you ain't gonna bring me down with you.
Right. I don't gotta come over.
But that's what I think. And I think with her and I's relationship, it's a little bit more deeper because I feel like I have a certain obligation to her family.
That's
because
not your job.
I know it's not my job, but her mom specifically.
That's not your job. But
I know it's not my job.
You better not sit there and say her mom specifically asked you to do some shit.
That's not
no, her mom. Yeah, like in a sense, like her mom specifically.
How many moms did you have? I just need to know how many cups Jess had because she.
Jess is going tonight, and I love it.
Jess is not playing tonight. She's like, you better not say her mother.
No, but it's honestly,
if her mother can't do it, you can't do it either. That's the person.
Right. I know. But
I don't even think it's all of that, Elaine. I honestly don't believe it's her mom. It's her. I think you have the personality of someone who, when I care for you, I feel like I must help you solve your problem. I must help you see your value. I must help you. These are not things you can help people do. You could encourage, but until they are ready to do that, there's nothing else you can do. I will be your cheerleader from over here, where I'm helping, where I'm
but that's the
checking
thing.
my mental.
Can I ask Elaine a question?
Things.
Can I ask Elaine a question?
Go ahead.
Elaine, this is my question to you. How many times do you tell your son not to do something before you allow him to learn on his own? As a mother, you step back at
about 2 times.
So, how is it that you will let your son? How is it that you let your son fall and give a number?
Nah, I tell him straight up. Listen, the hospital is closed. You break your neck, you gotta wait till Monday.
Oh, so you can set a boundary. You can set a boundary for your son and allow him to bust his head, but you can't do it for your friend. Why is it that your son is supposed to have those many chances, not your friend?
But I think that's something that comes with being just a nurturer, period. Because I'm not even gonna like front. I used to be that person. I used to be like, I don't understand. Why can't you just do this? Like you don't deserve this. You should do this. You should do that. Then it got to the point where I'm over here minding my business and thinking about somebody else's problems like I ain't got my own.
Right.
No.
And I think that's where I realized that, like,
in your head, and that's what you're doing, Elaine.
Yes.
And you are choosing to become the dumpster that you called yourself, and I think that's an insult for you as a friend. You're not a dumpster. You don't label yourself as that, because if somebody gets to dump that baggage onto you and you carry that around, that's not your friend.
Recently, I have learned to kind of like step back and just let it be what it is. And you got, like, honestly, you have to take it as you take it. If you can't realize that I was a great friend to you prior to me kind of distancing myself, because that's what's best for me, then I don't know what to tell you, So recently, exactly. So recently I have been, stepping back, and I've realized that I need to change because I'm stressed. Like Mahalia was saying, like, you find yourself stressed over problems that are not even yours.
But don't step back, Elaine, because when you step back, you can still go forward and you can go right back into it. Don't step back. You need to step out. You need to figure out a way to do that to make your life better, because
she made me blink like 3 times just now.
There's no way that all of this that you're saying and how you're feeling, you don't want to change that. There's no way possible that I know you want to change that. So now you have to change your mindset in any way. You can meditate, you can go on a diet, you can stop drinking, you can do all these things to help you reevaluate yourself, come in tune with yourself, and figure out how to step out of that, because you keep stepping back. I'm pretty sure it's not the first time you step back. Like, it's just time to move on from that. Because those feelings, they're always going to be there. But you have to turn them around and become yourself and not what other people perceive you to be.
Elaine, you don't have a boundary with your friend. That's just what it is. You have none of these boundaries, the 5 boundaries that Malia spoke of. You did not create that with this friend. And that's why they feel so comfortable with doing all of these things. And when you try to express this to them, because you allow them to overstep so much, it's a foreign language to them.
Right. And I 110% agree with that.
And I can say that because, again, I told y'all I don't have boundaries with anybody. And I'm learning now that boundaries are so important for your mental, your physical, your emotional, everything. It's important because people have to know when to stop. Because if you never show them a line, they're going to consistently push all of your buttons until you're sitting at home, like Mahalia said, letting these people live rent free in your head. And how does that help you? Because now you're not focusing on the things that you're going through. You're focusing on how you can help this other person. Why she ain't thinking about how she gonna help herself. She ain't trying to fix it. She's comfortable where she is. And once you learn that someone is comfortable where they are, it's no longer your job to take them out. Because as many solutions as you give them until they're ready, nothing you say matters.
Exactly. And then people like that, they want to always play the victim. They want to be in that same cycle of life. It's time to move on from people like that. Like,
That part.
listen, I've known you, just like it stems back from Mahalia, when me and her was talking about like childhood friends. I known you, I outgrew you, and now you're just an acquaintance to me. You're not my friend, and I just know you. But like your life, you're living your life for you. You wake up every day for you and your family. You don't wake up for her. Like,
And the bottom
sometimes
point
you gotta be like that.
Why y'all
The
make
bottom
Jess
point is
so
sometimes
mad?
people wake up every day and choose chaos. Okay, chaos
They
is
really
sometimes
do, though. They really do.
comfortable place for some people.
People like to be
Yeah.
in that bubble. I am
Right.
good, yo. I'm
Right.
good.
And
Don't
what
call
I've
me.
learned
I
with
don't want to
her,
hear it.
Ooh,
right. And
that's
what
that
I've learned with
misery
her
love
is
company.
more, it definitely does. And with her is the attention seeking of it all.
Exactly.
And that,
Victim.
and that's is
That's a
just
kind of
like,
victim.
yeah, like you just want the attention, but you're not actually doing anything to change your situation. You want the pity parties, but you're not actually doing anything to change your situation. You're not doing anything to better yourself, to get out of the situation that you're in. You like being stuck.
Well,
And
guess what?
like,
You're not stuck. So
right.
that's why y'all relationship is like that. Sometimes people are just at different levels in life. Even if y'all are the same age, the mindset is a level. People don't understand how powerful your mind is.
That part.
Speak about them. You have to allow people to know that you've crossed this line. And I've learned that from my therapist. Like a lot of times I'm like, somebody made me feel this way. And she was like, well, what did you say about it? And I'm like, nothing. She was like, so how do you know that they can't, how do they know they can't do this again? And I'm just like, well, they're just supposed to know. No, they don't. They don't know. Because 9 times out of 10, they don't. And then when you do speak about it, you learn that either they don't care and this is, or they care enough to fix it. Then you could let that person go.
Hmm.
And again, outgrowing people is something that is so true. As you grow, as you get older, things aren't the same. I grew up in the projects. Before everything that was happening was here, I wanted to know. But as I got into high school and I started experiencing new things and new people, when I came home, it didn't fit right for me anymore. I wanted more out of life, and I started to adapt towards people that shared. I'm gonna use Mahalia's favorite word, my same like mind. And some of those friends don't get out of that. They're
Mm-mm.
comfortable where they are, and you can't pull them. It's not your job to pull them with you.
Mm.
Right. It's just not worth it. It's not.
You
No,
got to
that's very
create
true.
a boundary. You have to, if you value this friendship, you can have the conversation with this person and say, listen, this is what's going on. I would like us to fix it and move forward from it. Or you can tell them, I've tried to help you. I've tried to be supportive from you for a very long time. And some of the things that I tell you, I think you look past. I need to take a break from you because you're putting a drain on me physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Hmm.
At least
So
you
let
don't leave
me,
that person in the ear.
that's true. So
Mm.
let me pose this question to you guys then, like, do you feel like we understand, I think during the basis of this conversation, we understand the importance of setting boundaries within friendships. But do you feel like it's hard to keep those boundaries in place with certain
Hell
friends?
no. I learned that and I stayed strong on
Then
that.
they're not
Um,
your friend. Then
I don't necessarily think that it's hard to um keep it in place. I think, as at least for me, as I've gotten older, I have really experienced the outgrowing of many connections.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even just friendships. It's just like sometimes There could be people in your family. You'd be like, you know what, you got your way of thinking, boo. It's not clicking for me. Still love you, but this ain't it.
I
And I
love you
think
from over there.
right. And I
Right.
think as sometimes it's not even about setting the boundaries, it's just really accepting that this friendship has fizzled out. Like we no longer have the same connection. Like we don't want the same things out of life. We don't think the same.
You no longer add value to
Mhm.
my circumstances. And it sounds cold and it sounds hard, but it's about growth. And when you grow, you need water, you need sunlight. You need these things. When you're not getting this stuff, it's time for you to move on.
Yeah, and I think it's hard. It becomes hard when you try to stick or try to stay loyal to a situation that no longer serves you.
Ooh, I like.
So then it becomes work. And friendship should not be work. Friendship should be a connection that allows you to be your most authentic self without judgment, with support, with love. And sometimes when things get hard, there are going to be arguments, disagreements, or whatever the situation. But you always feel, even within those moments, that there is a unshakable bond there. And when that no longer is there, like when that's no longer happening, and people just keep trying to hold on to it, just like in a relationship with a significant other, where you just feel so loyal to this person, and this connection is no longer serving you, it's no longer serving them, it's more arguments than happy time.
It
It's time
becomes
to let go.
draining.
It's draining.
It becomes very draining. And I think for you, Elaine, that's where you are. You are physically wiped out, drained out, and you can't take it anymore. I think Jess came to a situation where she was physically drained and she couldn't take it. But what made her get to her breaking point was that she was physically going through something. And at that moment, that was her strength to say, I can't do it anymore.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
for me, again, I had to learn that I hate people knocking on my door and I don't know that they coming. I don't like that. So I've honestly, and I've learned, like, if you knock on my door and you did not call me and tell me you coming, you standing outside. That's a boundary because it takes nothing to call to see if I want your presence in my face. Just don't show up to my door.
True.
It's things that you do have to put into place because if you did it like uh in my old home, it was a situation to where people would just show up and sometimes I wasn't in the mood to deal with anybody, and they would catch me at the wrong time and it would make my things worse. And the problem was, I think my uncle asked me this. He was like, so why you open the door? And I was just like, because it's rude. He was like, no, the rude part was when they came without your permission. And he was that was so true. Why did you open the door? You let the demons in when you don't create boundaries.
But I think in any connection, that's hard. It's difficult, especially when you're probably or maybe dealing with a friend that is not used to setting boundaries. When you try to set a boundary, they may see it as like, whoa, where is this coming from? They might not understand because it's something that they're
Yeah.
not used to.
See, and I'm dealing with that with my sister right now. So not even in friendships, but with family as well. And I'm struggling and I'm feeling the same way. Like I've stepped out of other things and I did it without even thinking. But when it comes to my sister, it's different. But when is enough enough? And now that I'm sitting here listening to, talking with you ladies and us talking about boundaries has really spoken to me because it's put my relationship with my sister in perspective. And now I know that I have to just step out of it. Like the same exact advice I'm giving you, I need to give myself.
One question for Elaine, the same question I had for Jess. Like, do you feel like your boundaries and friendships changed when you became a mother?
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've
I
lost
can't.
a lot of
Yeah.
friends, quote unquote friends, when
Yeah.
I became a mother
Acquaintance.
because
Acquaintance. Y'all,
they
we're gonna start using that
simply
word.
we're gonna start
Hold
applying
on, hold
it.
on. Everybody
But
say it with me. Everybody say it with me. Acquaintance.
acquaintance. No, but I definitely lost a lot of quote unquote friends that I was friends with prior to me giving birth because they just didn't understand
Right.
Like how my life changed after I had a baby.
Like,
I
I'm
can no
taking care of
longer
a
go out
whole
with
human
you.
being, yo.
Right. Like I can't go out with you every weekend. There's going to be times where I'm not available to talk and I'm not available to call you back. Like you're just going to have to get this call back when I'm available to give it to you. They just didn't understand that, you know, and I had to set boundaries with who I wanted to be around my child, what examples I wanted my child to see.
That
And
energy,
certain
man, is real.
quote unquote friends, those were not the type of people that I didn't want my son around.
Oh yeah, I can agree with that. I got people that is around me right now that I know for a fact ain't gonna be around my child.
Right, exactly. This was a great conversation.
This was great.
Okay. Before I go,
I have
Look at y'all. Look at y'all.
I'm sorry. I just have a question for Jess because she said there and she said that she doesn't think that there's boundaries with friends in a relationship. And then she turned around and she said that she had to get rid of a friend because they didn't understand that she couldn't stay out till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. We also have a friend like that. But don't you think that there is a boundary that you have to create with friends when you are married and they're single, or they're when I mean single, not just boyfriend and girlfriend, because in a relationship, I'm talking about when they're literally with no one. You don't think that there's a boundary that you need to create because they're never gonna understand.
No, they're never gonna understand, but that doesn't mean they haven't been in a relationship before. And me personally is I have me and my husband, we set the boundaries for us. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks because one, we're not going to step out of our boundaries. So at the end of the day, real friends are going to be respectful that you're married anyways. An acquaintance is not going to.
Okay.
Like, and that's why I keep on saying, like, friends, like that word, man, that's a big word to me. That's like love and hate.
Okay, that's why I said I don't agree with that. I don't believe that a friend is going to cross boundaries because they're single. A friend is acquaintance. I'm sorry, Jess. Will cross a boundary because they choose to. It has nothing
they don't care.
to do with
right.
They understand.
They don't
no, thank you for clearing. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that for me, because I was just like, why would you not want to create a boundary for your friends in your relationship? But I do understand what you're saying.
Last thoughts. What did we learn? I learned that Jess taught me today that the few friends that I thought I had, I don't. So shout out to all my acquaintances out there. How y'all doing?
I'm weak. I learned that it's good to set boundaries and to speak my mind and fuck whoever don't want to ride with me.
I would say I learned the same.
Putting in that wine.
No, but I learned right because girl.
Today she came out like a bull.
Nah, yo, I stopped drinking, so this is the first time I'm drinking for you, Mahalia.
Thank you, girl. And I love wine.
This is the first time I've had a drink in a minute, so that's why I'm a little lit, y'all. Don't mind me.
Jeff's husband about to call you and be like, "Thank you."
You're welcome, John.
I've learned that. I've learned that it's important to set boundaries, and it's more important to speak up on those boundaries and keep those boundaries and check people when they fall out of line.
Need to be what? When they fall out of line?
Yeah, when they fall out of line of those boundaries. Because right now I don't be checking people. Right now I gotta check people.
All right, Dre, what you learned?
I've definitely learned that boundaries are important. You need to keep boundaries for your mental, physical, and spiritual health. If you do not create boundaries, that means you literally stand for nothing, because people will take advantage of you every step of the way. And you feel like you're drowning, and you don't want to do that. So
come on, Just Snaps.
Boundaries are very important. If you do not have any, you need to create them, and understand that people are going to get mad when you start creating these boundaries. But the people that get mad are the people that's been taking advantage of you.
Dead weight.
And that's why they're upset, because they no longer can. So don't ever feel bad that someone is getting upset because you're creating boundaries, because that means you're no longer a doormat for their behavior.
That part.
Hello. Well, anyway, thank you, ladies. Listeners, let us know what you guys think. And guys,
I'm
like,
sorry, this is what I mean. Somebody just asked me in my home and then told me, "Are they on my way?" I'm supposed to leave them at the door. Like, I didn't tell you.
now you said they have to text. They text you, girl.
No. You asked me, "Do you feel like having company?"
Right.
That's the boundary
Exactly. Like,
that
what if
they're
I want to be
crossing.
chilling in my panties?
Right. In my birthday suit.
That's what I'm saying, yo. Nah.
All right, listeners, take the let us know what you oh my gosh. Let us know what you've learned. Let us know your comments if you agree, disagree with anything that we've said. Also, guys, like, we've seen the numbers. You guys are watching, but you, like, we're asking, can you please just leave a comment? Let us know if you agree or if you disagree. It's okay if you disagree. That's what this is about. My drink is my truth. It's about your truth. If your truth differs from ours, we want to know about it. So leave a comment, share, like, and I am just so happy to be with my girls once more. Like, it's been a long time. I'm like so hyped. And I mentioned earlier, but my girl's been working, and we're not gonna end the show and not talk about it. Like, Miss Jess is a whole realtor. We're going to talk about it. If you
Yes.
Carolina region,
man.
you need a home, hit my girl up. Just tell them how they gonna find you, because you need a house, y'all.
It's been a journey. Okay. First, I want to thank myself for working as hard for working as hard as I have worked, and actually stayed consistent and did what I had to do to get to where I am.
Yes.
But listen. You can follow me on Instagram at Real Estate with Jessie, and it's just JESSI. There's no E. Yeah, you can follow me on there. I'm a real estate agent in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Period.
And yeah. So hit me up, y'all.
Yes.
I'm the voice of the generation. Stop buying avocado toast and buy a house.
Hello. Priorities.
Wait, how much avocado toast do I gotta skip on to buy a house?
Listen, it's our generation's turn to start buying houses. We need to start buying homes young. So stop all your petty spending, basically. And it's time to save up and do what you gotta do, man. It's time to break that generational curse.
Hello. Get them properties, y'all. Hit my girl up.
Okay.
If you in Charlotte, she is here for you. Please look out for me and my girl. Okay, we have a travel vlog coming out.
That's my best friend. Let's go, best friend.
Let's go, best friend. Elaine and I love to travel, and we do travel a lot together. And why not vlog it? So we are working on something super, super special. So stay tuned for the exact date. Let's go, best friend. Okay. No, we are really excited about this, and we've been working really hard, y'all. But anyway, really hard. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Don't forget to follow My Drink and My Truth on Instagram, My Drink and My Truth. Again, if you want to know the drink that has me lit right now, don't forget to follow Nell Tonic at Nell.Tonic on Instagram, Nell Tonic on TikTok, and www.shopnelltonic.com. Anybody else?
I'm lit off the sangria.
Just need to get off this so she can go eat some taco and soak up. And somebody text John and tell him to come get his wife. But
he downstairs. He waiting for me.
All right. So as usual, thank you for stopping by. Cheers.
Cheers.